What's up, everyone? I am Wink.
And I am Skillz.
And this is Scream Cheese. Today, we are talking about the brand new classic vampire film, Abigail, starring Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, and Alicia Weir. After a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, they retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they're locked inside with no normal little girl. All right, Skillz, let's just get right into this, man. What did you think of this movie? I am dying to know.
So here's the thing. My biggest concern with this film going into it was, did the trailer spoil the movie for me? And unfortunately, the answer was yes. Now, I still enjoyed this film. I thought it was very entertaining, but they gotta stop doing that because if you went into this film blind, you wouldn't know that the little girl they kidnap is a vampire. Obviously, almost everybody knows that. And I understand from a marketing point of view, you can't hide that type of information because that's what the film is about. But beyond even that, there really wasn't anything I saw in this film that I didn't see in the trailer. The reason I still enjoyed it was because, first of all, I thought the cast was so good. I feel like the chemistry between the cast was excellent. There was a lot of humor in this that really worked for me. They did a very interesting thing at the beginning of this film where none of the characters are supposed to know anything about each other. And that's kind of tough if you're an audience member because you want to know about these characters. So they found a very creative and clever way to give us some insight into who they are. I thought the film was really well paced and I liked all the gore and the kills. I thought those were done really well. I kind of wanted a little bit more creativity with them, but still they were a lot of fun. The creators of this film said that The Lost Boys was their single greatest influence. I literally felt that throughout the whole film. It had that nice blend of horror and humor. And so again, it worked really well for me. But I had a really good time with it. It was a very entertaining film. I really liked it a lot. My only negatives are that the ending felt a bit rushed. It kind of seemed like they just wanted to wrap things up really quickly. And as well, the story didn't have a lot of depth. I know they were going for a popcorn fun film. That's cool. And it worked really well as that. It felt kind of empty. You know, a couple of the main characters had some issues they were dealing with and they touched on that. But I felt like the difference is that in a film like Lost Boys, I actually really cared about the characters. And I want to go back and experience what they went through with them again. Whereas with this film, it was kind of a one and done. When it's just surface level, it's fun to watch it one time, but then there's really no reason to revisit it. Alicia Weir was really good. That's always a tricky thing when you put a kid in kind of the central focus of a story. There's a lot of great child actors, but this was a pretty demanding role. It was pretty intense and she held it down really well. Kevin Durand, he looked familiar to me. I'll just be honest with you. I think it was great that Elon Musk put on weight and really transformed himself for this character. So shout out to Elon.
Yeah, Elon did great, dude.
No, but Kevin Durand, he was great. He made me laugh. He looks familiar and I've probably seen him in things, but I don't know what I've seen him from. Also, I am a huge fan of, is it Dan Stevens? I've only seen him in a few things, but you can just tell, that guy is just an awesome character actor. He's just so good. And you're a good actor when you're playing a really despicable person, and yet every time he's on screen, I couldn't get enough of him. He's just a great actor, I think. And then we got Lisa Frankenstein, which was cool. Catherine Newton,
yeah.
I really like her a lot. The lead actress, Melissa Barrera, she was really good. But yeah, I think my biggest gripes with it is that the ending just wasn't really satisfying. And yeah, there just wasn't anything below the surface. And I was kind of hoping for that. If that would have been there, it would have been a great film. But for me, it just turned out to be a really good film.
All right. So first off, while I did not hate this movie, I didn't really enjoy it, dude. I would say that the vampire in this movie is the superficial fast food action movie version of a vampire. Rather than two fangs, they have all sharp teeth. They just use all the action movie tropes of the vampire rather than the horror movie kind of stuff. These vampires aren't cool. They're not very scary. And then as far as the actual plot of the film, it's the tropey story of a bunch of criminals that don't know each other coming together to do the heisty type thing, which is fine, but it's horror action trope with criminal tropes. I agree with you that they kind of spoil everything in the trailer, but they do try to expand a little bit beyond what we do know, which, dude, the little girl being a vampire, that would be awesome to go into this film not knowing. Like, that would have been
absolutely.
so cool.
Absolutely.
As far as like performances go, you have Melissa Barrera, who does a fantastic job with her like emotional scenes, but all of the emotional stuff is like additions to the plot that are, I think, supposed to attach us to the characters, give them depth, give the story depth, but it doesn't work. It's all boring. It's all like pointless additions to, again, like a very superficial film. So I don't feel like it's necessarily doing what they needed to do, or if it is, if it's giving us depth to the characters, I don't know that we care all that much. When we got to the end of the film, that last like 5 minutes was completely pointless. I have no idea why even introduce that character. Maybe it tied up Abigail's story, but did it? I don't know. I don't feel any more satisfied with her story. It felt like there was about to be a reveal that was so cool. And like, I was like, oh, holy shit. And then they finished the reveal and I was like, oh, I don't give a shit. You had mentioned before we started this review that this one would probably be better to see with an audience. And I completely agree with you because there's only 3 people in the theater with me. Had it not been for the like 2 or 3 times that they chuckle, I was missing that the movie was funny. None of the comedy hit for me. I just like totally missed it. And I think if I were in a packed theater and people were just laughing around me, maybe I would have caught like dude, I was about to say chuckle bug. Is that like a thing? I would have caught the chuckle bug, but I didn't, dude. I didn't think any of it was funny.
Yeah, I definitely liked it more than you did, but I agree with your points. I did laugh a lot, and I thought the first half was very strong. But yeah, like you mentioned, I just didn't feel like there was anything under the hood. Like the paint job on the car was, for me, really pretty, and I liked looking at it, and I enjoyed it. But when you got to the end, it just, it wasn't very satisfying. And I agree with you about the whole end reveal or whatever. I think most people are going to enjoy this because to me, it was a nice, quick, fun film. I think the biggest sin of the film was I thought the actors did really well and I liked a lot of their interactions and chemistry. But when it came down to it, I didn't really care about the plight of any of the characters. Maybe Abigail. But the problem is with even her, we knew what her need was and what she was missing. And I don't think this is a spoiler, but she essentially gets that in the end, but you don't feel anything when it happens. You don't feel like anything with any of the characters when they get what they wanted. You don't have that sense of relief. It was a fun ride, but it was kind of empty. And like I said, when comparing it to Lost Boys, I want to watch that film right now, just talking about it. And this film, I can definitely recommend to see it, but I feel like they missed the mark. I feel like there was so much potential there. And again, I enjoyed it, but I feel like they missed the mark from being a good serviceable film to being like a great film, like a great entry into like vampire films, you know?
Well then, Skillz, what would you give this out of 10?
I am sure my score will be higher than yours. I'm going to give it a solid 7.
I'm going to give it a solid 6.5. And I'll say, dude, it's not a bad movie. I'm being really hard on it because I didn't really like it, but I could see the appeal. I think a lot of people will like this one. Well, let us know what you thought of Abigail in the comments section below. Also, let us know of any other horror movies you think that we need to check out. Also, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Peace out, cheesers.
Peace.